Darth, Theorist, rise. What if the Force revived Padme and sent her back to Episode 1? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Padme's eyes shoot open as she looks around. She is on a ship, sleek and beautiful, of Naboo design. But outside the viewport she sees Coruscant, the capital planet's metallic skyline stretched out for miles and miles. It is a sight that she has seen 100 times before, but this time feels different. The city feels younger, kinder, almost innocent of the turmoils it will endure later on. This only adds to her confusion as she looks around, trying to make sense of everything. She stands, but her legs nearly give way underneath her. A hand moves to steady her, and she looks up in surprise to see Qui-Gon's broad body standing over her, one hand on her shoulder to prevent her from falling over. His smile is surprisingly disarming, enough that she actually finds herself momentarily relaxing.
Easy now. It was a long trip, and you might not have adjusted to the planet's gravity. Take a moment to acclimate yourself.
Padme can only nod wordlessly as she bites back the hundreds of questions in her mouth. How can she be alive? The last thing she remembered was lying in a metallic chamber and holding her children. Her children. She instinctively moves a hand towards her belly and feels only flatness. Of course, they wouldn't have been conceived yet. As the ship descends on a landing pad, her companions file out, and each one is stranger than the last. There stands Obi-Wan among them, but still a Padawan, then Captain Panaka and Anakin. She barely holds back her tears as she watches her husband. She was still so young here, still the happy child she remembered him as. And when they descend, the sight that greets her is even stranger. Palpatine appeared by the landing pad, his arms spread open and a grim smile on his face, as if he were some grandfather offering comfort to a frightened child. He pulls them aside to talk privately. She resisted the urge to claw his eyes out.
My queen, I have heard of the chaos on Naboo. The stories I've read are most troubling. It must have been so difficult to leave your people behind in such a state, but rest assured, you made the right decision. Here we can at least see things right and deal with the Trade Federation.
Padme resists the urge to scream and call the senator a liar. She wants to turn to Qui-Gon and order him to arrest Palpatine. However, she knows this will just make her appear like a madwoman. She has no idea why she is here, but everything is starting to click together. She understands that she is not in her time. She's in the past, years before the Clone Wars and Palpatine's rise to power. But the young queen knows one thing, and that is that she will not allow those events to come to pass again. Folding her arms together, she puts on a brave face and stares at Palpatine, meeting him in the eye.
Indeed, Senator. That is why I hope that everything shall be revealed during my time here.
She takes a deep breath, and the next few days are a flurry of emergency Senate hearings, press releases, and private meetings with influential senators. As expected, Palpatine takes the lead in all this. While Padme is the face of Naboo, the senator is the one with true power, as he can influence his allies and move people into action. However, he isn't the only one acting, as Chancellor Valorum is also hard at work, trying to gain momentum in this situation. The young queen studies him and his actions. She recalls how she had gone above his head and pushed for the vote of no confidence in the past. But when she looks at him again, she can see the strain in the old man's eyes, as he does his best to solve this crisis. It is hard not to feel a little bad for him, as she knows he is in an impossible position, caused in part because of Palpatine. Now she regards him with fresh eyes, seeing him not as some worthless bureaucrat, but as a man caught up in a web far beyond his ability. Because of that, she offers what support she can to him. Padme lends her voice whenever he makes a motion and calls for senators to back him, both privately and publicly. While it does get the ball rolling slightly, she knows it is an uphill battle, and her spies report news. Each time she convinces a senator to back them, they slowly pull back their support, and whenever she tries to organize events to raise awareness, bureaucracy rears its ugly head and puts a stop to it. All of this is no doubt done by Palpatine as a way to halt their efforts. After weeks of push and pull, she finds little to show for it. During the latest Senate hearing, she clears her throat and tries to give a speech.
Honorable representatives of the Republic, I come to you under the gravest of circumstances. Naboo's system has been invaded by the droid armies of the Trade.
I object! There is no proof! This is incredible!
We recommend a commission be sent to Naboo to ascertain the truth.
The Congress of Malastare concurs with the Honorable Delegate from the Trade Federation. A commission must be appointed.
The point?
Excuse me, Chancellor.
Into the bureaucrats, the true rulers of the Republic, and on the payroll of the Trade Federation, I might add. This is where Chancellor Valorum's strength will disappear.
The point is conceded. Will you defer your motion to allow a commission to explore the validity of your accusations?
Very well. I shall defer this matter and allow a commission to ascertain the situation for the time being.
Palpatine's face falls as he looks at her in surprise. He snaps his head towards her, trying to make sense of it. The senator moves to stop her while the rest of the senators mutter to themselves. Some satisfied, others are confused, and more are just happy to put this matter to rest. But she doesn't stop there. She closes her eyes and thinks about the encounters she has had up until this point. The chaos on Naboo, meeting young Skywalker, but then her mind goes to their encounter with the Sith Lord on Tatooine. Maul. She knows now he is Palpatine's apprentice, and that he had instructed him to hunt them down. He is the key to all of this. When she looks up, she moves to speak again.
However, I also call for a motion for the Jedi to conduct an investigation into our attacker on Tatooine.
This time, Palpatine fails to hold his surprise. While they had all known about the situation, few had given it much thought, as most of their focus was on the blockade itself. He turns to Newt Gunray and gives him a warning look, gesturing for him to do something. The Viceroy quickly moves his repulsor pod forward and speaks.
Surely this is not relevant to the matter at hand. We are here to discuss the trade dispute between the Naboo and Trade Federation. Nothing more.
There was just an attack on my life, Viceroy. Surely that must count for something. I have every right to request this, given the circumstances. Unless you do not wish for me to conduct this investigation because you fear what I might find.
The Queen is correct. Given everything that has happened, I think that it is a more than reasonable request.
Most senators agree, and they vote overwhelmingly to assign this matter to the Jedi, while the Senate organizes a committee. Padme allows herself a smile as she departs, but as she goes, she finds someone coming after her, and finds Qui-Gon standing over her, and frowns.
My Queen, that was certainly a bold decision, but what are you hoping to achieve with this? Assuming that the Jedi even sanction this expedition.
There is more to this matter than meets the eye, Master Qui-Gon. I believe that this strange warrior is the key to everything.
You sound quite sure of yourself.
I am. That man almost took my life. If he is under the employ of the Trade Federation, this could be proof we can use against them, and we can take action against them.
But that is not the only reason.
He crosses his arms and raises an eyebrow. While that excuse was enough for the Senate, he is not so easily convinced. He was there when the incident happened, and knows what really happened. Though he had attacked them, he senses there is more to it than the incident. When he looks at Padme, he senses the Force's power around her. It doesn't emanate from her like a Jedi. Her entire presence seems off. It is as if the Force is warped around her, as if she should not be there. And yet, her presence remains so purposeful and commanding. Slowly he nods and takes this message to the Jedi Council. When he reports the presence of a Sith Lord, they agree on the need for an investigation and send Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to look into this. They start at Maul's homeworld of Dathomir, which has remained largely isolated from the rest of the galaxy, and for good reason. When they arrive, the Jedi are immediately greeted by a wave of darkness. The very air is thick with the Force and dripping with the dark side. It dulls their senses and leaves them wary as they struggle to sense anything around them.
Steel yourself, my apprentice. We do not know what might be lurking in the shadows.
Behind them, Padme strides down from the ship, one hand to her side where her blaster rests. Although there is still much to do on Coruscant, she can delegate that task to her body double. The Jedi were not pleased to see Padme go with them, but she was most insistent, and all they could do was form a protective barrier around her as they ventured deeper. The jungle of Dathomir looks like a place from a nightmare. Plants and vines hang like cadavers, swaying languidly and mixing in with the burial pods of fallen Night Sisters. The fog rolls in around their feet, leaving them unable to see below their ankles, while strange noises echo across from the trees. Whispers and growls mix in a maddening cacophony, and then they emerge. From the tops of the canopy, a dozen figures arrive without warning or sound. They land in a perfect circle around the group, with bows and knives raised. At once, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan have their weapons ready and stand protectively behind Padme.
Who dares intrude upon our lands?
The Republic has business with your Coven leader, Witch. We have reason to believe one of your own is responsible for attacking a Republic monarch. We come here to learn the truth. A Night Brother from your planet.
The witches mutter amongst themselves, their voices low and curious. Eventually, they lower their weapons and gesture for them to follow.
Then we best not leave our mother waiting.
Glancing at one another, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon deactivate their weapons and follow them. The witches lead them to the great fortress of their clan, where they see Mother Talzin standing over a cauldron of green fire. Her eyes are closed, but her lips move and utter an unworldly chant. Yet, as they approach, she opens her eyes and beckons for them to speak.
I will hear your tale, travelers. It has been some time since I was visited by a Jedi.
Padme and Qui-Gon both take turns recounting the turmoil on Naboo, from the Trade Federation's blockade to the attempted assassination of the Jedi emissaries. But when they reach the part about Tatooine, Padme takes over. She carefully observes Mother Talzin's expression and catches the faintest flicker of surprise when she describes the warrior who attacked them, but that is quickly squashed by the time they finish. Then, the ruler of the Night Sisters simply shakes her head.
I am sorry, child, but I have little knowledge of that warrior whom you are describing. Our men are so often rather wild. It is impossible to control them.
You're a liar, Mother.
The words send gasps across the room. Many of the Night Sisters stare at her in shock. Others growl and step forward, preparing to rush her. Yet, if they plan on intimidating her, Padme does not bend.
What are you doing, Your Highness?
Getting to the truth.
Queen Amidala, this is a rather reckless course of action. I advise that you calm down before you start something.
Mother Talzin floats towards her. Eyes flickering dangerously, she stares at the young queen.
You are rather bold for one so young. I must know what gives you the courage to say such things, child.
Because I know things even you don't.
Talzin scoffs and is ready to put the child in her place, but then she senses the power swirling around her and pauses. The Force reacts to this girl in a rather strange way. It is unlike anything she's ever seen. It is enough to give her some second thoughts.
Perhaps you are not simply a loud-mouthed child after all. Let us put your words to the test, young one. Unless you have something to fear.
I do not. Do it.
Mother Talzin gestures to the Night Sisters. At once, they begin to circle Padme. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan block their path, but she gestures for them to stand down. They set her down on a table and begin chanting in low, rhythmic tones. The cauldron flares, green fire snapping upward as if reaching toward the ceiling of the cavern. The witches gather around a circle of fire, together side by side under the starlit sky. Together side by side in the middle of the night. Talzin extends her clawed hands over the flames.
Let us peel back the veil. Let us see what this child dares claim she knows.
The mist rises, curling around Padme's face. Her eyes widen as visions swirl within the smoke. Maul, her attacker, standing defiant against Jedi blades. Then, in an instant, she sees him cleaved in half, tumbling into the void. Talzin gasps and steps back, surprise plain on her face, while the witches grow uncertain. Yet the memories do not stop. The spell has been uttered and cannot be forced back. They continue to fly, searing themselves in Talzin's mind. Rather than stop it, Padme clenches and focuses her power, sending those memories flooding out. She focuses on the most impactful, a report she got from Republic scouts on Dathomir just a few years in the future. The fortress of Night Sisters now lies in ruins, with the husks of their warriors and the droid army lying around them. Another flash. Palpatine, no longer the mild-mannered senator, but cloaked in shadow, declaring emergency powers before the Senate.
I am the Senate.
The Night Sisters begin to shake, breathing in darkness, walking in darkness, knowing they won't be living another day.
That snake, he would dare usurp all.
The sisters recoil at the vision, their chanting breaking into whispers. Even Qui-Gon cannot mask his shock. He stares at Padme.
These memories. You truly saw this before?
I woke up with them. A life already lived, ending in ruin. My children were stolen, my people broken. The man I loved turned into a weapon. And that man, Palpatine, rising above it all. I cannot allow it to happen again.
She turns to Talzin, meeting her eyes.
You know what it means to protect your child. As a mother, I ask for your aid to stop the man who would destroy both of our children. Help me stop him before he takes everything.
For a moment, the cavern is still. Talzin studies her. the firelight reflecting in her dark eyes. At last, she nods slowly.
Very well. You will have our aid.
On Coruscant, Palpatine is already at work. For weeks now, the committee has been gathering evidence for the case against the Trade Federation. But in this effort, the Viceroy has room to maneuver. He bribes officials, causes obstructions in their investigation, and covers up the worst of his actions. All of this leaves them struggling to break the deadlock, and one person who notices is Palpatine. He speaks with poisoned courtesy before the Senate committee, his words slipping like silk through the chamber.
Chancellor Valorum means well, but he lacks strength. He allows indecision to cripple the Republic while Naboo suffers. It is weakness, and weakness invites chaos.
Though Valorum tries his best to maintain order and assure them of the Commission's efforts, these fall on deaf ears. Instead, people would rather listen to Palpatine, who warns that their systems might be next, and that the Trade Federation can just as easily invade their planets if Naboo is left unchecked. While Padme's aides can do an adequate job of posing as her, they do not have her political acumen. They can only watch as Palpatine riles up the public, turning them against the Chancellor and calling for a vote of no confidence. Valorum struggles to maintain order, and that provides Padme a chance to strike. When she returns, she requests a private audience with him.
Enough. My people cannot wait for endless debate. If the Senate will not act, then I will. You've seen what Newt Gunray is doing, even without a full report.
Yes, I see it. With all this, I wonder what he is hiding. But until they can complete it, my hands are tied.
But not mine. Let me act in your place, Chancellor. With your support, we can retake Naboo. Quietly. A covert operation. Swift and decisive. Give me the chance and I will free my people. Afterward, I can say you aided me.
On what grounds, though?
You said it yourself. With how much we already know, imagine what we could learn.
Valorum hesitates, his hands tightening on the edge of his desk. He knows the risks, yet Padme's determination burns brighter than his doubt. It offers him a lifeline out of this quagmire.
Very well. You will have my support, but know this is no easy task, and if this fails, there is nothing I can do to help you.
Padme bows her head in thanks. For the first time, the tide has shifted, if only slightly, against Palpatine. With the tacit backing of Valorum and the alliance with the Night Sisters, Padme can at last act. The Chancellor provides her with unmarked credits, allowing her to send them to the budding resistance movements in her homeworld. Panaka personally helps provide this money to the remnants of the Naboo security services and other resistance cells. Violence soon erupts across the planet, as armed with funding and new resources, they can now begin to seriously challenge the occupying droid forces. Supply convoys are ambushed, factories are sabotaged, and shipments containing resources or treasures are reclaimed. All of this infuriates the Viceroy, who accuses the Senate of secretly funding the terrorist groups. However, Valorum can avoid these accusations by reminding him that the committee has been paralyzed and is unable to conduct a proper investigation. If they were to be given more leeway, they could come out with conclusive answers. This puts Newt Gunray in a difficult position, as he risks revealing the full extent of their issues. All he can do is remain in his place and try to send more droids to crush this nascent rebellion. But as tensions escalate, this allows a small strike team to slip through the blockade's defenses. Padme, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan, along with their Night Sister and Naboo allies, soon land on the planet. But rather than land in one of the rebel hotspots, they instead head to the wilderness and swamplands, where the Gungans make their home. Here, they recruit the Gungans to their side as they organize a full counterattack. The Gungans now leave their swamps and begin attacking the droid forces on the plains and even some of the border cities, which takes the local garrisons off guard. Many are driven back, and at last it seems that they are beginning to reclaim their homes. But Newt Gunray will not surrender so easily. He orders all available forces to crush these rebels. In the midst of the ensuing battles, there are reports of a young human woman leading them, someone who matches the description of Padme. Newt realizes that the young queen must be the one rallying the people and calls for punishment by the Senate for involving herself in a legal blockade. However, without proof of her being there, these are nothing more than simple accusations. This makes it imperative that he capture her to present her. The Viceroy orders all available droids to advance into the swamplands and drive the rebels back. For a time, this works as the Gungans retreat and the resistance goes underground. Reports soon circulate from scouts of the young queen being spotted fleeing into the wilderness. The wilderness soon burns with fire and smoke as droid columns march into the swamps, their metallic bodies clanging as they slog through the mire. Their blasters light up the forest as they cut through the foliage. and they press in deeper. For the first time now, they have noticed figures retreating into the forest. There are small glimpses that appear along the edges of the woods, and this gets the droids to move in deeper. Yet, after an hour of chasing, the commander droid halts, mechanical optics scanning the fog. Then, the swamp erupts. Gungan catapults launch from hidden ridges, their glowing plasma spheres arcing through the mist. The first wave crashes into the droid formation, sending metal limbs flying as blue energy detonates against their frames. Resistance fighters burst from concealed trenches, blasters barking. Bolts cut through the air, shredding droids before they can adjust their firing patterns. Yet as the first rank falls, the second ranks of droids advance, trying to lay down covering fire. But as their ranks begin to close, the Night Sisters descend from the canopy, their hands weaving crackling sorcery. Tendrils of ichor lash out, melting through circuits, reducing squads of droids into twitching heaps. Others follow with knives and bows, and from the muck, the Night Brothers charge like predators let loose, axes and maces slamming into durasteel with bone-breaking force. Mercenaries sweep in behind them, raining blaster fire and overwhelming the Trade Federation's ordered ranks. Explosions ripple across the marsh as the cries of Gungans echo, their Kadu mounts crashing through the front lines, spears plunging into confused droids. But this battle is only a mask. Beneath Theed, far from the chaos, Padme advances with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan at her side. They move quickly through the hidden tunnels once used by Naboo's earliest kings. A handful of Night Sisters follow in the shadows along with Padme's bodyguards. When they emerge into the palace gardens, the familiar sight strikes Padme like a blade through the heart. She remembers this place as a home of beauty, but now it stands cold, guarded by metal sentries. Her heart hardens as she levels her blaster, firing the first shot. A droid collapses. The Jedi surge forward, sabers flashing, cutting down the rest. The strike team pushes into the Grand Hall, its marble floors stained with the shadows of war. They manage to enter the hangar and help the pilots secure their fighter craft as they take to the sky. But as they leave them, the doors open, and Maul steps from the darkness like a nightmare given form. His stance is coiled, his eyes fixed on the intruders with predatory hunger.
You dare trespass in my master's domain?
The Jedi move instantly, blades igniting in response, emerald and sapphire crashing against crimson. Sparks spray across the floor as Maul strikes with brutal, whirling ferocity. His saber staff whirls with blinding speed, looking like a storm of light as he sweeps their lightsabers aside and roars. He smiles and advances on them, stomping one foot and sending a shock wave that forces them to scatter. Qui-Gon whirls back and glances at his Padawan. He gestures for him to hold back, but then rushes to sweep his lightsaber and forces Maul to parry. The Night Brother begins to twist his second blade, but Qui-Gon ducks underneath it. Still, it gives Obi-Wan the chance to launch a counterattack and strike from the rear. Maul leaps back, but grazes his side. He counters and then catches Obi-Wan's next strike and headbutts him. His horn brushes up against the young Jedi's head and leaves his forehead bleeding. Padme fires into the chaos, bolts searing past the combatants. Maul spins, deflecting each with contemptuous ease. He thrusts his hand and throws men flying back. The Night Sisters hiss and rush at him, trying to flank him as the Jedi renew their attack. Despite that, Maul manages to kick one aside and then grab another mid-leap by the neck and throw her at another warrior. When the last lands, he throws himself against her and sends her stumbling to the ground. As he prepares to cut her down, the air shifts. A green mist seeps into the hall, cold and suffocating. From it steps Mother Talzin, her form both solid and spectral, eyes burning with ancient power.
Enough!
Maul falters, if only for a heartbeat. His gaze locks on hers. The mask of pure fury wavers. There is something familiar about her, but then he rushes at her with a roar of blistering rage. Qui-Gon tries to step on his path and block his first strike, but Maul tosses him aside as the Force gives him strength. He hurls himself at the Jedi, roaring, each swing of his saber heavier, angrier, driven by the need to drown her words in blood. Qui-Gon blocks low, Obi-Wan counters high, sparks spraying as they match his fury blow for blow. But when they strike at him, he slides between their blows and rushes towards the ruler of the Night Sisters. Yet, as he slashes his lightsaber down, Talzin ducks under the attack.
My son.
Maul continues to shriek as he rains down attacks on her, yet Talzin does not attack. That is, until he throws a downward vertical slash aimed at bisecting her. The blow never reaches, as Talzin simply raises her hand and catches the blade mid-air. She meets his eyes and smiles sadly.
My son.
The title cuts deeper than any blade. Maul's face twists, denial, warring with longing, and his strikes grow more desperate.
Palpatine uses you, Maul. He feeds on your rage, but leaves you empty. You are not his heir. You are his weapon. And the weapons are cast aside when dulled.
Lies! He made me strong!
No, my son. I made you. My blood runs in your veins. Lay down your weapon. Remember who you are.
She taps his forehead, and Maul staggers back, panting, the crimson glow of his saber trembling in his grip. For an instant, the feral fire in his eyes flickers with something else. Doubt, pain, the shadow of a child stolen too young. And then he sees the memories of himself, as a babe in her arms, happy. As a young child, he was taught to walk by Talzin and watched from the shadows as Palpatine appeared, and then screaming in terror as he is spirited away. The Jedi lower their blades slightly, watching with caution. The hall is silent save for the hum of Maul's saber, its crimson blades shaking in his unsteady hands. His breath catches, his fury warring with something long buried. For the first time in his life, Maul hesitates. That is all Talzin needs, as she pulls him into her arms, the lightsaber dying in his hands. Elsewhere, in the palace, Newt Gunray tries to make his escape. He and his aides hurry, trying to rush away into their emergency shuttle. But as they approach the private hangar, the door slides open, and Padme appears with her guards and points a blaster at him.
And the doors!
Now, Viceroy, we will discuss a new treaty.
We will start with a confession and an explanation. Why is there a Sith Lord in your service, much less a slave?
Slander, you cannot prove anything.
We can, given how his mother has already expressed willingness to testify. And given the situation you find yourself in, I find it unlikely the Senate will be as willing to support you as last time. No one likes to back a loser.
I had no idea where he came from. He was simply sent to me.
Oh, I believe you. That is why I will also hear your explanation on things you do know. You will reveal it all to me, now.
As reports flood in on how Maul was captured and the droid forces in pursuit of the Naboo forces were defeated, it is clear that Padme holds all the cards. The confession comes not long after, as the Viceroy explains how he was put up to this by his allies in the Senate. Palpatine, who wished to use this crisis to make himself a hero and gain power. All of this is recorded and sent back to the Senate on Coruscant, who watches in horror. Valorum uses this opportunity to go on the offensive. He reveals that he had organized this mission in response to the repeated delaying efforts made by the Trade Federation. Palpatine flees the Senate, but is soon tracked down and killed by the Jedi, while Maul, Talzin, and Newt Gunray all testify against Palpatine and his allies, prompting Valorum to arrest them. With this fresh momentum, he can now begin properly challenging the entrenched senators and make real changes. To help him, he recruits Padme as the new senator of Naboo and one of his key allies. Meanwhile, Qui-Gon takes Anakin away from the Jedi Order, deciding to train him in the wider galaxy to better understand the living force. As they leave, Padme says that they will meet again. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.